When daybreak came, Diti would take it on herself to ensure that everyone was scrubbed and bathed, and that not a morsel of food passed anyone's lips. For as with all pilgrimages, this too had to be undertaken with a body that was undefiled, within and without. Always the first to rise, she would go tap-tapping around the wood-floored bungalow, cane in hand, trumpeting a reveille in the strange mixture of Bhojpuri and Creole that had become her personal idiom of expression. Devete! Eh! Banwari! Eh! Mukpyari! Revete na! Agle ba! By the time the whole tribe was up and on their feet, the sun would have set alight the clouds that veiled the peak of the morn. Diti would take her place in the lead, in a horse-drawn carriage, and the procession would go rumbling out of the farm, through the gates, and down the hill, to the isthmus that connected the mountain to the rest of the island. This was as far as any vehicle could go, so here the party would descend. Diti would take her seat in the puspus, and, with the younger males taking turns at the poles, her chair would lead the way up, through the thick greenery that cloaked the mountain's lower slopes. Just before the last and steepest stretch of the climb, there was a convenient clearing where everyone would stop, not just to catch their breath, but also to exclaim over the magnifique view of jungle and mountain, contained between two sand-fringed, scalloped lines of coast. Diti alone was less than enchanted by this spectacular vista. Within a few minutes, she'd be snapping at everyone. Levete! We're not here to goggle at the Zoli V and spend the day doing patati patata. Paditu, chal! To complain that your legs were fatigué or your head was giddy was no use. All you'd get in return was a ferocious, "Bas to fana! Get on your feet!" It wouldn't take much to rouse the party. Having come this far on empty stomachs, they would now be impatient for the post-puja meal, the children especially. Once again, Diti's puspus, with the sturdiest of the menfolk holding the poles, would take the lead. With a rattling of pebbles, they would go up a steep pathway and circle around a ridge. And then all of a sudden, the other face of the mountain would come into view, dropping precipitously into the sea. Abruptly, the sound of pounding surf would well up from the edge of the cliff, ringing in their ears, and their faces would be whipped by the wind. This was the most hazardous leg of the journey, where the winds and updrafts were the fiercest. No lingering was permitted here, no pause to take in the spectacle of the encircling horizon, spinning between the sea and sky like a twirling hoop. Procrastinators would feel the sting of Diti's cane. Garatwa! Keep moving! A few more steps and they'd reach the sheltered ledge of rock that formed the shrine's threshold. This curious natural formation was known to the family as the Chowki, and it could not have been better designed had it been planned by an architect. Its floor was broad and almost flat, and it was sheltered by a rocky overhang that served as a ceiling. It had something of the feel of a shaded veranda, and, as if to complete the illusion, there was even a balustrade of sorts, formed by the gnarled greenery that clung to the edges of the ledge. But to look over the side, at the surf churning at the foot of the cliff, took a strong stomach and a steady head. The breakers below had traveled all the way up from Antarctica, and even on a calm, clear day, the water seemed to surge as though it were impatient to sweep away the insolent speck of land that had interrupted its northward flow. Yet such was the miracle of the Chowki's accidental design, that visitors had only to sit down for the waves to disappear from view. For the same gnarled greenery that protected the shelf served also to hide the